Gamers, the 30th anniversary of Pokémon Red and Green is officially here, and so is the accompanying Pokémon Presents. Assuming you all have seen it, if not, go watch it now, because I'm literally about to spoil that shit more than skim milk left out in the sun on a hot Texas afternoon. I'm sure you have varying opinions on what you saw. As for myself, I give the Pokémon Presents a resounding yippee! So that's my overall takeaway from this presentation, but to get this video past at least 5 minutes, I'm gonna go announcement by announcement and share my individual thoughts on each one. So strap in, the shmeargle analysis starts now. I really thought that this Game Boy music player was gonna be another re-release of Pokémon Red and Blue. You know, like those Tiger Electronics games. It being a music player thing is cute. I'm gonna be blasting the Victory Road theme everywhere I go from now on. The Pokémon World Championship is always a blast. I'm also excited for Pokémon Champions to finally be a part of it. I can't wait to see what strategies people come up with when all the battle gimmicks are available. There will no doubt be some tomfoolery afoot with Dynamax, Terra Water, Z-Splash, Magikarp. I wish I lived at Pokémon XP. I'll be sleeping next to the Psyduck statue. Scalpers rejoice. They brought up the Pokémon trading card game. And then they brought up the Pokémon trading card game. Oh yeah, it's the 10th anniversary of Pokemon
Go to the polls!
My dad still plays that game. And it's already over? Wow, they usually spend like 10 years on Pokemon Go stuff. Cell shading is canon? Gen 9 is canon? Starter Pokemon are caffeine addicted? This Chef Ampharos is so cute, I need a life-size plush version of it. Now! I've never played Pokemon Sleep or Pokemon Unite in my life, but Electrode Volleyball, that sounds like some Mario Party bullshit. Okay, we're past all the mobile games. Here's the real meat and potatoes of this presentation. Pokemon XD on Switch 2 Online. We all knew that this was coming. I talked a bit about Coliseum and XD in both of my previous videos. I won't say that I predicted XD coming to Switch Online because there'd been a ton of leaks about it circulating around, and I was kind of pulling from that when I was making those videos. I am happy that these games got pulled from the Aether, though, and this is me being a little selfish here, I really wish Pokemon XD was home compatible. Shadow Pokemon would be broken in other games, but let's face it, every Pokemon past Incineroar is broken in some way, so I think they get a pass. Thank Arceus Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen are home compatible. I would have gone on an actual rampage if they weren't. Shoutouts to Game Freak for giving me another way to play my favorite Pokemon games. We get another video for Pokemon Champions, but I already talked about it. Get with the program, Pokemon Presents. I'm gonna be honest, I was actively in biology class as this whole presentation was going on. Here are my actual notes that I was writing when Mega Halucha got fucking murdered in cold blood. We also got a special announcement regarding Pokemon Legends ZA. Here I was gearing up for some vast expansion on the Mega Dimension DLC. They had this long-ass video that got those hype juices flowing. I was salivating, foaming at the mouth for another chance to drop $40. And then... oh. That's information I already knew. I'm still a fan of Mega Garchomp Z. I'll take any excuse to go back to Pokemon Legends ZA. New Rotom form! There's a surprising amount of music in this presentation. Pokemon Pokopia is gearing up to be a marvelous game that has no business being $70. I'll be honest, I was a little on the fence about it, but then Greedent showed up and I was sold. Ditto is the protagonist of its own game, what's not to love? Ditto really is a true communist icon, and now it's Minecraft. The Nether! Up until this point, it's been all fun and games, but now we get to talk about the true game to end all games. The last announcement of the day, Pokemon Winds and Waves. As it turns out, the leaks were real. Let's just cut right to the chase. It's a new Pokemon generation, so my feelings on these games are pretty mixed. I like to exercise what I call cautious optimism. Right off the bat, I know that a lot of people think that Pokemon games should be getting longer development times, and to an extent, I agree with that. It's always good when we can get quality products from our favorite franchises. However, there was no way we weren't getting Pokemon Generation 10 for the 30th anniversary. Those numbers just look too good together. From what we've seen in this trailer, it looks like the graphics have benefited from the jump to Switch 2, and that kind of puts my worries at ease. It definitely seems like the Pokemon Company has been putting a fair amount of effort into these new games. The animated water looks so majestic. We better get a Pokemon Legends Alola to take advantage of this. As for the games themselves, if all the leaks are true, then I am very excited for the non-linear story structure. That was my favorite part of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, personally. It struck just the right balance between being open-ended and having actual goals that you could work towards. I find it hard to play a game like Minecraft, for instance, all the way to the end, because I always get sidetracked. There's all kinds of stuff you can do on your way to fighting the Ender Dragon, and none of it's really required, so I never really know what to do next. If these games can just give me clear goals along the way, be it the gym leaders or trials from Alola, just something to keep me focused on the story, I'll be satisfied. That's how I like my Pokemon games. There is something to be said about these games being leaked at all. I do like there to be some surprise in what actually happens on my journey, but I will say I do like to map out some of what I'm going to do for my teams ahead of time. Replaying some of the older Pokemon games, I find I quite enjoy balancing out teams for myself and seeing which members fit there. It appeals to that side of me that likes organization. So I appreciate knowing which Pokemon are in the game ahead of time. Now there's also a rumor about a legendary Pokemon in these games that changes forms based on how you progress through the story. Look, I don't have a problem with that concept overall. I just want to know all my options for how this legendary can turn out. I want to decide for myself whether or not to pursue a specific variant, rather than the game just deciding which one I get. That's the main instance, I think, where I would approve of leaks. I'd like to keep most of the experience a surprise, but I want to know enough ahead of time to make something of a plan. Because as I've said before, I find it hard sometimes to just wing it when there's just so much available. And last but not least, we get to talk about the new designs in Generation 10. The player characters look fabulous. I cannot wait to see the customization options. Give me outfits, give me makeup, give me hair color, give me blood types. I want to customize anything and everything with these guys to make them 100,000% me. I don't know what this water tower crap is, but I am loving it. Sleigh building, and then the starters, instant 5 stars. I can't say right now how they fare compared to other starter trios. We barely know anything about them. However, these are the starters for Generation 10. I just know they're gonna razzle-dazzle us when their final evolutions drop. Pombon, I know, is the fan favorite here. Like the old saying goes, when in doubt, dog it out. I think Pombon would be my first choice among these starters. As for what types I could see it becoming, it would be really funny if they went back to Firefighting starter for this guy's final evolution. It wouldn't be entirely unheard of because Pomeranians are little dogs, which, as we all know, are the spawn of Satan. It would also be really adorable if Pombon grew up into being a fire fairy type. I need him to slaughter dragons without remorse. Gekwa is a littlest pet shop. It has the most going on design-wise out of all the starters here. Just based on general vibes, I could see another water dark type a la Greninja, or even a water poison type. I prefer the latter because I feel that would be more inspired. Sprout, I think it's so cute. I love the attitude. I'm usually a defender of grass starters. When everybody else was like, yay, Scorbunny, I was over at Weenie Hut Juniors with Grookey saying they just don't get it. But even I have to admit that Pombon and Gekwa they just have so much more going on. Plus, we already have a grass bird starter, so Sprout has fierce competition all over the place. I'm not saying Sprout has nothing going for it, it just really has to step it up with the final evolution if it wants more attention. Speaking of, I could also see Sprout growing up into a fighting type if they wanted to lean into its grumpy side. It could evolve into a fighting chicken. Alternatively, you could take cues from owl caricatures and become a psychic type. Any way you slice it, this starter trio is shaping up to be a masterclass in little guy design. I can't wait to see more. What's the deal with these guys? You bore me. Anyways, I'm pretty excited to learn more about these games. Of course, it's just one thing for a game to look pretty and have an interesting premise, and it's another thing entirely for the game to actually function following Scarlet and Violet. I hope the Pokemon Company has learned from their mistakes and there's a much smoother launch for Generation 10. Please, can we just get as little blatantly being broken as possible? I'm not worried though. There's no way these games are going to be bad. Look, Carnivine is there. That makes everything okay. Well, there you have it. Another Pokemon Presents in the books. I mean, sure, it had a couple highs and it had a couple lows, but you know what? There's always next year. I've been shmeargle. See ya later.